Welcome to the Laughter Clinic podcast with comedian and suicidologist Mark McConville, bringing you practical, evidence-based self-care strategies, the latest research in mental health, along with conversations that inspire, educate, and entertain. This is the Laughter Clinic podcast with your host, Mark McConville.
Welcome back to the Laughter Clinic podcast, my friends. It is Life Skills Masterclass, the third episode in the series, and we welcome back our wonderful co-host, Jodi Allen. Good to see you, Jodi. How you going?
I'm great. It's great to be back here.
So much appreciate your time and being part of the series and co-hosting this with me. I really appreciate it. It's been good so far.
Yeah, I've had fun.
Yeah, it's good. So the last couple of weeks we have covered we started with the foundation life skills, didn't we? In episode 1, we covered self-awareness, coping with stress and problem solving. Episode 2, last week we covered thinking, critical thinking, creative thinking and decision making. And in this week's episode, it's all about relationships. It's all about communicating effectively, interpersonal relationships and empathy, how we connect, how we communicate and how we connect with others and how important it is, because relationships are everything, aren't they?
They sure are. They're essential to having a healthy quality of life, aren't they? And it's how we express ourselves, how we relate and empathise with others. And, how we communicate is a really important vehicle in how we carry ourselves in our relationships.
Yeah, there's all different types of communicating, isn't there? When you think about communicating, it's like most of the time you think about talking, but there's so much communication is non-verbal as well. We're in the business of communicating, really, because you're a presenter, trauma-informed facilitator of the program that we've spoken about that we both work on for the 4 Aussie Heroes, and your work in nutrition, your nutrition clients and your yoga clients. We are in the communication business when you think about it. Aside from what it is that we do, we got to communicate our ideas across appropriately, and succinctly. And I'm probably doing a shit job of communicating this at the moment, but
just keep throwing your jokes in there.
Yeah, we're doing all right. Well, that's the thing, As a comedian, I got to communicate jokes, And one of the things that really spins me out is one of the questions I get asked the most is, how do you remember it all?
Yeah, right.
When you're on stage for an hour, how do you remember all that stuff? And my standard response is remembering it is the easy bit, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a script. It's a story that I've lived. It's something that I've done and the hard part is saying the same story for the 1,000th time and I still believe it's funny.
Yeah.
I still have to believe it's funny, because if I don't believe it's funny, the audience isn't going to buy it.
Yeah.
And that's like I've been listening to some podcasts recently where they've been interviewing actors, and I started out studying acting and stuff, and the communication, it comes from inside, doesn't it? It's really how you want to communicate with someone is so much more than just the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, and I've seen you in your laughter clinic and delivering, the same content, but it's like hearing it for the first time. And I laugh like I haven't heard it before, because your delivery is always, it's good fun and you're in it. And
that's the illusion.
It's the illusion.
It's the illusion, man. It's the vibe that I create.
It's the vibe, man.
Yeah.
We love the vibe.
We love the vibe, that's right. So, and no matter who your relationship, whether it's a relationship like an intimate relationship, a work relationship, with your friends, communication a lot of the time when relationships break down, there's some type of communication that's been at fault. A lot of the time, isn't it? If someone hasn't communicated properly what they wanted to get across, or people take things the wrong way. That's why one of the big things I say to my mates is you can never have not an argument, but like if you're trying to nut something out with your partner or even a friend or anyone, you can't do it via text.
Yeah.
You can't do it via text message or messenger because there's no tone.
Yeah, there's so much missed in that kind of communication, isn't there? Yeah.
Pick up the phone and talk to people.
It's also, though, one of the most challenging things in life is having uncomfortable conversations, isn't it? We're often naturally avoidant to that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. We are avoidant of it.
But good communication, we can learn it.
We can learn it.
Yeah.
Yes, we can. We can.
We can get better.
We can get better. That's one of the big things they taught us at the acting school was, different ways of communicating, when sometimes you had to communicate just with your body.
Is that when you were the plant?
Yeah. Have I told you the story? I had to be so I was studying method acting, right? So I had to portray physically a seed, right, swelling up, taking in moisture, splitting open, rising through the soil, finding sunlight for the first time, and turning into a tree, and then photosynthesizing carbon dioxide into oxygen.
That just gives me the best imagery of you, little seedling into a plant.
I was amazing at it.
Lovely.
Yeah. Anyway, moving right along.
Don't diss the process.
That's right. And it was communicating, and I was communicating, and then
it would have been so challenging though to do it without words.
The most challenging one was I had to be molten metal. I had to be molten metal being poured out of a vat into a mold, and I had to form the shape of like an anchor.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was, and I got to tell you, it was pretty funny when they said, we want you to analyse the psychological characteristics of a plant, and I struggled, I got to tell you, till I went home and smoked a couple, and then I was the plant. It was great. Anyway,
you were one with nature.
I was one. So
we digress.
Yeah, we digress. Yeah, don't do drugs, kids. Okay, so where are we going? We're talking about communication. So because we assume other people understand what we're talking about, and
yeah, that's often the problem, though, isn't it? Is we can say things like, "Well, I shouldn't have to ask for that," or "I shouldn't have to." Pardon me. I shouldn't have to point that out, or I shouldn't have to say that. But really effective communication is being really clear about what we mean and how we speak up and take action for ourselves and assert ourselves, and how we also listen. So it's that bi-directional pathway, isn't it?
Well, what's the old saying? You've got two ears and one mouth. So use these more than you use
Listen
that.
twice as much as you speak.
Yeah. Which was a saying that was never intended for people with ADHD. Because I got to tell you, as someone who has been, dealing with that for the last 15 years, that's one of the big things that I think anybody that's got ADHD that may be listening will be able to relate to is, because there's different symptoms, that you talk about the impulsivity and this and that, but the and I don't think it's wholly and solely just people with ADHD. It's a trait just for people with ADHD. I think a lot of people in general society, when they're communicating with people, will be, not so much listening to what's being said, but just itching to get their next thing in.
And I think it's also you look at what was your family dynamics of how you communicated when you're, growing up. Like for me, we're a very noisy, vocal family. We would basically talk over each other, and if you didn't get out what you needed to say, you just were steamrolled by another family member, and someone has to back down. Right. And like when I talk with my dad, neither of us is backing down, so we're both just talking at the same time. But like it's been the way our dynamic since I was little, and it wasn't until when I was in the RAF and an officer pulled me up and said, "Can you stop speaking over me while I'm speaking?" And I was like, "Oh." But I was actually, I had to take a moment. Yeah, no one had ever pulled me up on it before, but it was something that I was doing all the time because it was just learned behaviour. And in my family, it was acceptable to talk over each other. But were you ever really heard?
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you said, it can be a learned skill, like I think I know me personally, since I started doing this podcast, it's made me a better listener.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because you're making a concerted effort.
Got a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
I don't know, but for those of you that are listening, that's probably going to make absolutely zero sense what I'm talking about. But I'm focused is where I'm going with that. I'm focused.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of the time when you're waiting to have your say, it's emotions, like there's emotion driving what, I'm frustrated, I want to get my point across, or I'm excited, I want to tell them about this, or I'm angry, you got to hear me. And
I do it when I'm excited. I've got to, take some deep breaths because I'm like, I'm really excited about this conversation. I want to blah.
Yeah.
But I've got to, take a moment and just wait, hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as we got here, emotions can hijack communication if we're speaking reactively and in an emotional way, then often we are not heard, and that really leads us into our first practical strategy.
Love it. Excellent. Hit us with it.
It's probably not the first time many listeners have heard it, is using I statements when we're communicating. Because often if we're in a discussion or an argument or a disagreement, it's, using the you've done this, or you've made me feel this way, and the person on the receiving end of that can often feel attacked and just go straight into defensive mode without really listening, because they've gone straight on to, well, I've got to defend myself here because I feel like I'm being attacked, which then destroys the communication and the message that you're trying to relay. And it could be, with the I statements, it's, I feel. I feel upset when, pointing out something that, the other person might be doing in their behaviour, because this is the impact that it's having on me, and this is what I need from you. So you're using the I statements instead of what can be perceived as the attacking you statements, and then that can free up the communication to be less emotive.
So as an example, an example could be, you never listen to me. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that have heard that.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you're starting with the you, so which is a blame, bang. It's an aggressive start to that sentence, as opposed to, I feel unheard when I'm interrupted because it makes me think my opinion doesn't matter. I need you to let me finish my thoughts.
So it's relaying how you feel by with the behaviour of the person and what you need. So there's, it's a helpful statement, isn't it?
Yeah. Or you're always late, or you're never on time, or anything that starts with you or your is bang straight away. It's aggressive.
Yeah, and the words like always, never, because that's usually not an accurate statement, because are they really always late?
Yeah.
Are they really?
Give me a percentage. What percentage of the time am I late?
So you're using, extremes, which is not helpful.
Yeah, no, extremes are no good. Extremes are no good. It's really, that's one of the things that, like we've said numerous times so far in the episodes that we've been doing on the life skills, is how they all interact with each other.
Yeah.
Like we will be talking about emotions a bit later on in the final episode, but how emotions affect communication, and stress. We spoke about stress, how that affects how you feel emotionally, which is going to have an impact on your communication. Or if you haven't, actually thought something out and made it, you might fly off the handle because you haven't thought something out and made a thoughtful decision on something. And, so it just, every single one of these I see ways that they all interact with each other, which is so cool,
And having that awareness, which was our first topic of the series, is having the awareness first. I'm really,
I'm getting wound up here.
Yeah. And, tuning in, okay, my heart's racing, or I'm feeling tense, or I'm feeling angry, taking a pause.
And then in that first episode we covered problem solving, and it's like, how can I possibly expect to have this problem solved if I haven't critically thought about the problem, made a decision about the problem, and effectively communicated what I need in relation to getting this problem solved, if it is a relationship problem,
And in the case of, like, say we've, we call it flipping, you flipped your lid, that region of the limbic system of your brain, like the lizard brain, it's also known as, that very, I feel threatened here, or, I am feeling angry. It takes over, and the prefrontal cortex, which is, where our thinking part of our brain, our, helping to regulate and have a thoughtful response, it goes offline. So we can think and say things that we don't mean, and cause hurt and harm when we're in a really agitated state. It's it can be really disruptive.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we're when we're communicating, if we're attacking or blaming, it's not going to open up a calm two-way conversation. It can, really shut that down. And we want to focus on, what our feelings are and what our needs are, and being able to, communicate those safely.
Yeah, it's amazing that a few weeks ago I had on the podcast a guy called John Godwin, who runs a organisation, Inspiring Brighter Futures, and they have mentors that go into high schools and like, these are volunteer people, right? Members of the public that go in and volunteer as mentors for disadvantaged youth and that sort of stuff. And like, there's an adolescent, there's a cohort that's communication is going to be like, every parent of teenagers that I know that talks about trying to communicate with their teenage kids, like, how was school today? Grunt. What did you do? Nothing. I don't know. What? And I remember saying to him how it can be really hard, must be really hard trying to communicate sometimes to these kids that have, sick of people telling them what to do, or I don't want to do another program, I don't want to talk to another counsellor, all this sort of stuff. And I will never forget it. He said, you will be amazed what you can achieve when you come from a position of love.
Nice.
You know, like when you're communicating, is the communication that I'm trying to get across here, is it coming from a place of kindness and love, you know, as opposed to coming from a place of anger and, you know, but it's complicated because we all get angry, we all get the shits, and you know.
And I think often too, as you know, as a parent, a friend, a colleague, we can immediately go into. I see this, you know, in the first responder in that community a lot, is that, you know, it's wired into us, and if you're an empath as well, is to fix. I've got to go in and I've got to fix it. And one of the biggest things I learned with my kids is to say, if they've had a, you know, rough day or a rough time at school or uni, you know, do you want me to just listen, or do you want me to help you fix it or work this out? And 90% of the time they'll say, Mum, I just want you to listen. And then they'll pull me up if I start going into, well, if you thought about, what about? And they go, Mum.
You're supposed to be listening.
You said they do. They'll put me, Mum, you said you were just going to listen. Right, you are. Yeah, got to put my, you know, sit on my hands sometimes because we want to swoop in and fix and solve things for people. But one thing we've learned at uni doing the masters is that if you are trying to fix and solve other people's problems, you're actually removing the capacity for them to solve
their ability. That's right.
That problem themselves. And when they work that out themselves, they're, you know, really proud of, I could actually fix that and solve that. I hadn't thought about that. You could give them some, you know, thoughts about it. But, you're taking away their autonomy. And I was like, ooh, I never thought about that. I just thought, well, I've got some answers. Here you go.
Yeah. Well,
you know, we kind of try and race in there sometimes. And
and because you're caring mum, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's coming from a place of wanting to, you know, look after your kids, and you want what's best for them, and you know, share your wisdom with them. But it's like, the listen. There's a few things I want to unpack there. The listening, and not only listening, and they talk about this a lot in suicide prevention and that sort of stuff, is not listening without judgment.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
You know, like listening without judgment. Just unload. I'm not sitting here to pass judgment on you, and letting people, sometimes just verbalising whatever it is that's given them the ache is a big thing.
Yeah,
you know?
It can be a big weight off their shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, and that's that's why, you know, what was I going to say? We got you saying about taking away their autonomy to get better at fixing the problem.
Yeah.
Another, I wish I could remember where I heard this saying too. Would this be a bumper sticker? Maybe.
We've got a collection now.
Yeah, we do have a collection. It was something along the lines of, if you want to be good at doing hard things, you've got to do lots of hard things, or something along those lines. Like you're never gonna get good at having difficult conversations if you shield yourself from difficult conversations all the time.
Yeah.
You know.
And when you do have them, you're really proud of yourself, and you alleviate a lot of stress when you have them. Yeah.
So let's talk about listening, because it's, you know, that's a big thing it's been a challenge for me over the years, actively listening.
Me too.
So the big one, you know, waiting to talk is not really listening. You know, it's a different. You're hearing the words, but you're not actually engaged and listening to the content. So active listening is the ability to have an understanding of what the other person is, you know, saying to you, and taking it in.
Yeah.
You know. So I've got written here phone manners.
Yes.
So talk to me about, because when I think of phone manners, in this day and age, I think of people that I know that I just go, oh man, can we just have a conversation without you having your phone out? You know?
Yeah.
Because it sends a weird message when you.
I think the presence of a phone is just, it's a barrier, and when someone's talking to you, even if it's like in your hand or on the table, it's, well, they could be distracted by that at any moment. Like I was saying to you earlier, when my daughter wanted to speak to me today, I was on my phone and I took it out of my hand, I put it face down on my desk, and I swung around on my chair and I faced her directly and I said, hit me with it. So, because I was in the middle of texting someone and I'm like, no, because when she started talking to me, I still had it in my hand. I'm like, no. I had to consciously put it down, be present.
Yeah.
And I think, it does take a lot of presence away from us. I find it really hard I'm a constant phone checker. If I got a message, if I got an email, so I've had to set some rules around it. If someone's speaking to me, it's away, it's down, it's and not picking it up first thing in the morning. Have the delay of a few minutes or even longer.
So a few minutes. So you lie in bed, right?
Right, my 2 minutes are up.
And then you go, okay, so the snooze, I'm on one snooze, so that's 9 minutes I'm allowed to check the phone.
Yeah. We've got to do baby steps around these things.
Yeah, well, look, this mate of mine has got this thing where he, I don't know if he still implements it because it sounded a bit drastic, but he was saying that when people come to his house to visit him, he makes everyone put their phones in a bowl at the front door. And so like if you're here, we're going to hang out, I don't want any phones on the table. I don't want you checking them, like.
It's actually a great tactic. We do it on the program, that we have a basket and a little, please place your phones here. And they get, at first they're a bit, ooh, and then they just get used to it. There's the basket, there's your phone. And it's funny, within days, you kind of see the phone just in there all day. Like they just kind of start separating themselves from it and go, wow, I didn't realise how much I checked my phone until it was, not in my hand or in my pocket.
It's hard. It is hard. It's so hard because, like, it's, like a comedian mate of mine, Stab Davidson, said when we were talking about this on the podcast, he said, if we're in a conversation and you want me to be talking to you and not scrolling on my phone, you've got a lot to compete with. Because this is fucking awesome, like I've got every comedian on the planet in the palm of my hand, and I've got videos and kids falling off the piano and people trying to reverse cars down boat ramps, and he said it's just awesome. Yeah, and that's the trap.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we all get sucked into it.
It's funny they call it social media, but it's so. It's so antisocial.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Don't get us started on that. That's a whole other episode.
That's right.
Okay, so where are we talking about? Okay, so putting a phone away is a big communication, that tells the other person that you're with. Like if you're out to, coffee with a friend of yours or whatever, and this is nothing new. I know Simon Sinek very famously talks about this, world leader when it comes to communication and leadership and that sort of stuff. And he talks about the fact that what message is it saying to the other person sitting across the table from you if you can't sit there and put your phone away?
Yeah.
Even if it's face up, face down, if it's still on the table,
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting. So I've been trying to be conscious of putting it away.
Yeah, yeah. It takes conscious effort because they're such an extension of who we are now.
Well, we want to be able to. We're talking about communication. We want to be able to communicate to the other person that we're sitting across the table from that this is important. Whatever it is that we're talking about, whatever time we're sharing, I'm giving it 100%, and that communication is between us, and
you've got my undivided attention.
Undivided attention.
Yeah.
And whatever other communication that's involved, I can deal with that later on. So so and talk to us about assertiveness, Jodi, the assertiveness spectrum.
Oh, yes. Look, this is something as a people pleaser in my youth and always being quite shy, I found assertive communication quite challenging. I know it's very common, and it's when we're talking about being assertive, it's not the same as aggressive.
Right.
So it's, really expressing what our needs are without ambiguity. I can't even say that word. Ambiguity. And it's so what does that look like when we're, what do you want for dinner? Whatever.
Well, that's the three styles, isn't it, of the passive, aggressive, and assertive.
Passive. Yeah, passive is whatever you want. And,
avoiding.
Yeah, and the saying, we were talking about this earlier, happy wife, happy life kind of thing. It's that very passive, whatever you decide. And what that, I did this a lot in my 20s. What that does, the passive communication is, you don't want to rock the boat. You're people pleasing, whatever the other person wants. What does it end up? You end up not having your needs met.
Yeah.
And when you're not having your needs met, that often builds resentment. So you often become unhappy and resentful, often of the other person that you're being, passively communicating with. But unbeknownst to that other person, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know what you're not telling them. And it can be really frustrating to be on the receiving end of, whatever, I don't mind, whatever you want. And that's not helpful. Then it places the decision-making on the other person all the time, and that can be really tiring. And, aggressive can be very dominating, attacking. And aggressive communication doesn't always have to be yelling. It can be a person can still aggressively communicate you but appear in a,
See, I think the silent treatment is aggressive. If you're in a relationship and you get the silent treatment, to me that's an aggressive tactic. And even though it involves not saying anything,
it's a form of punishment. It's the silent treatment is one of the death knells of any relationship because it really leaves the other person that's being is on the other end of the silent treatment. They don't know where to place themselves. They're walking on eggshells, or they might be trying to repair, make bids for connection, and they're being rebuffed. It's really, not an effective way to communicate at all. And it's giving someone the silent treatment is also different to saying, hey, I'm feeling really emotional, or I can't have this conversation right now. I need to go away and have a moment and get my thoughts together. And then I want to come back and continue this conversation when I feel calm and in a good place to do so.
Yeah, so you're communicating the fact that I want us to be able to communicate about this properly, but it's not going to happen right now.
Yeah.
So can we come back and address it when we can communicate about it?
Yeah, so you can still take some time out, and that is very different to this giving the silent treatment is, well, I'm going to you've done something that displeases me, and I'm going to punish you by not talking to you. And, our goal is to communicate assertively in a way that our needs are being expressed and met. And it, can start with things like I need, I feel, I would like. So again, what are we using?
I words.
The I statements. And that equals healthy relationships, because we're not leaving the other person trying to second. People are not mind readers. And we often make assumptions and have, our own perceptions in, what might be happening in any kind of relationship. So if we're very clear in expressing ourselves, then it makes our lives a lot easier. And I wish I had known about this in my 20s.
Yeah, right.
I think my life would have been a lot easier, that's for sure. Yeah.
I should just say, I'm gonna sideways go here.
Okay.
For those that are listening, when this episode or the last couple of episodes and you hear these occasional noises in the background, I should just let you know that our usual podcast studio is not available, and so we're in the bowels of the Sit Down Comedy Club at the moment in Brisbane, and it is a massive construction site around us. So we've come in to record the episodes after the workers have gone, but we're still underneath a fully working and functioning pub. So if you're hearing some noises, that's what's going on in the background. So we do our best to take it out.
We'll just soldier on.
Yeah, we're just soldiering it on.
There's an annoying smoke detector that likes to let us know it's here.
That's right. So yeah, sometimes when, if you want to communicate effectively, you got to know when to pause. Just got to know when to stop and go, look, this is an important conversation that we need to have or whatever. Maybe we need to readdress it when we've calmed down or something like that.
And letting the other person know that I do, don't
I'm
avoid it.
I'm not dismissing this.
I'm not dismissing you.
It's because I respect you that I want us to be able to sort this out, and we need to be able to sort it out calmly.
Yeah.
The transition, my friends, is communication is the tool, but relationships are what we are building. When we're communicating effectively, we're building relationships. And so that's our life skill number 2 for this episode. First one was effective communication. Now we're going to talk about interpersonal relationships, because they're everything, aren't they, Jodi?
They are. And it's, we're not just talking about intimate relationships. We're talking about our friends, work colleagues, our neighbours, our peers, our kids, family, extended family. We know, research, there's a wide body of research that shows that healthy relationships are fundamental to well-being and our quality of life. And we also know that the quality matters over quantity. And I think you get to our age and the more conversations you have around friendships, well, I know this is with my friends, is that you really value your friendships and the quality over quantity. I think when I was younger, I valued, quantity, and I wanted to be everyone's friend. I wanted everyone to like me and be accepted, which is a very normal part of adolescence and growing up. We want to be accepted and have a wide friend base and be accepted by our peers. And then, going through the lifespan, as we get older, we tend to value the quality of our relationships, and often our friendship circle gets smaller. But you think about who's in that circle and you start to realize, I don't need a lot of friends. I just need I need quality friends that they've got my back and I've got theirs. And
even though you've got 1,000 friends on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, are they your friends?
It's the people on your bus, as we like to say in mental health, is who's on your bus. and you're the driver of your life, and you get to decide who is in your inner circle and what are they, what are you contributing to the friendship and what are you receiving? And we can absolutely improve our relationships, be it intimate or friends or our work colleagues.
Yeah, which goes, reiterates the life skill that we just talked about, communication. Communicating is a great way to improve our quality of relationships. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people that talk about relationships would be familiar or have delved into relationship research at some point, would be familiar with the Gottmans, the work of the power couple.
Yeah.
I can never remember her name, John. And do you remember her
Is it, I think, Julie?
I can't remember. Well, we'll just say the Gottman research. They were, very powerful stuff. A lot of psychologists, a lot of psychiatrists refer to the Gottman Gottman, formulas when they're doing.
They've got a great website.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of.
Yeah, we'll put the link. We'll put all the link up there.
Lots of research, education.
And so, fundamentally, around their research, they talk about healthy relationships have trust and safety, which is a given. That's really got to start there. Mutual respect, which is great. Effective conflict resolution. Once again, that's going to come down to effective communication.
Yeah.
Emotional connection, which is that emotion, something that we'll talk about when we get to the study about emotions and empathy, and sharing values and goals. This is one of the things that recently I was talking to, I had on Stephen Woods from Employee Wellness Australia, and he was talking about the difference between a leader and a manager because they're not the same thing.
Yeah.
Like a manager manages, resources and people and time frames and calendars and all this sort of stuff, whereas a leader inspires,
Yeah,
inspires,
if they're a good leader.
If they're a good leader, come with me on this journey,
Yeah.
And so that's, which is a totally different relationship.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think one of the cool things is I like the I was saying before about having John Godwin on that as the mentors that go into the schools.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said for a mentor relationship, and I know you're a fan.
Yeah.
Like I've got an ADHD coach who's kind of a bit of a mentor that I see when I need to see him, and we have so many different types of relationships in our lives.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to broaden the types of relationships you have, but for me, having similar values is really, really important.
Yeah. It's if anyone's ever done any research into blue zones, the community connectedness and the longevity, all that sort of stuff, relationships, because we live in a time now where unfortunately loneliness is an epidemic.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a harsh statement, but it is, loneliness can kill you.
Oh, there's plenty of research has really linked the, poor mental health,
low quality of life,
social
isolation, low degree of life satisfaction. So building relationships is so important, and like I was saying about so many different types of relationships. Like if you don't feel like leaving the house, you're suffering from depression, anxiety, social anxiety, whatever it is that you're going through, and you think, because I've been there where when you're in the depths of depression, talking to people is the last thing in the world that you want to do.
Yeah.
When in actual fact, that's the time where you need to do it the most.
Yeah. It's the hard things, isn't it?
It is the hard things. And because this, like the relationship, I've been dying to get into the relationship life skill because this is something I talk about so much in the Laughter Clinic about the importance of connectedness and community.
Yeah.
Like for that person who may be at home struggling with their mental health and feel as though they can't leave the house or it all feels overwhelming, even the simple act of stepping outside, if they hear the next door neighbour check their mail or something like that, to just have some type of human interaction. Hey, how you going? Beautiful, whatever. 2 words, 3 words. It's it's a minute relationship, but it's still a relationship. You've still connected with another human being.
Yeah.
One of the most popular podcast episodes that I've done at the moment is called I think it was like belongingness and resilience, the hidden mental health benefits of sport.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the jersey effect.
The jersey effect.
The jersey effect, like you're walking through a shopping centre and you've got your team's jersey on and you see someone coming the other way and they've got the same jersey on. Instantly you feel connected to that person even though you don't know them. You connect and you feel connected to something bigger than yourself. Or
it's tribe.
It is a tribe, right? Or even if they're walking towards you and they've got an opposition jersey on, right? You still feel a level of connection even though it's the opposition because you're both connected to the same code.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you personally have ever done this, but I'm a massive AFL fan. I love the Aussie rules here in Australia. I'm a big Brisbane Lions supporter, and there is something pretty amazing about getting, walking to the game.
Yeah.
Walking street after street to the game, wearing your scarf and your beanie and your hat and whatever it is, and you've got all your gear on, and you're with thousands of other strangers.
Belonging.
And you feel connected to them. And then you get in the stadium at the Gabba here, and they kick a goal or they win the game, and I've been there with, 40,000 people singing the song at the end, and it's goosebumps stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so so many relationships take all sorts of different types of forms.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've gone off tangent there.
No, but
I get excited about relationships. I get excited.
But it's a sense of belonging and a sense of tribe that, often we see, especially when people leave the service, that disconnect from tribe.
That must be hard.
Yeah, it's
like the losses of identity.
Loss of identity and loss of tribe is, a big challenge.
So do they, when you left how long ago was it that you left the Air Force?
A long time ago.
Okay. Just give me the stink eye, ladies and gentlemen.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Like I'm not familiar with because you're associated with Buddy Up, so you'd know. Do they do any what's the word? Like we do training for them to go into the Air Force or the Defence Force, but when they come out, are they given some type of, is there like an exit thing
like
to
a transition?
To help them kind of become a civilian again?
Yeah, there is a lot of talk about this in the veteran space, and the same with first responders. It's
I know it was something that was talked about in the Royal Commission.
Yeah, there is more awareness around it, and there is more transition process for the military now. There was no transition process when I medically discharged, but there's not enough support for anyone leaving a service to integrate into, the civvy world, the uniform off. We're getting better, but there's still a lot more needs to be done to carry ex-serving members through that process, because it's a process.
Yeah. Do you find it benefits servicemen and women when they come out to maintain a relationship, you know, because I would imagine some people would want to maintain relationships with the people and some people would want to not cut ties.
Yeah. I think it depends on the individual experience and the nature of discharge. I've got friends that have discharged really well, and you know they're living the dream and happy as. And then I have many colleagues and friends that have not thrived on the other side. So I think it depends on the nature of how you've left, especially if it was by choice or not. You know, for medical retirement, mental health retirement from any service can be really difficult because it feels like the choice was taken away from you. And especially if you had intention to be in for a long period of time, which most people who serve do. You know, often we're there we think we're going to be there for life or the long haul, or this is going to be a long-term career. So, it can be really challenging, but it can be, you know, you look at, it's not just serving people, you look at athletes, you look at Olympians, you know, that changing their identity from I'm an elite athlete, I'm an Olympian to, well, now my sporting career is over, who am I now? And we have seen that, you know, for decades, some of the struggles that our athletes have had when, you know, integrating into who am I now beyond this identity that I had. And I think it can even be, you know, professionals as well, in any field, in any nature of work. If it was really something that
they're
was...
in most relationships, aren't they? You know, like the probably the most prominent relationships in our lives outside of, you know, your partner, your husband, wife, intimate other, is the relationships that you have with the people that you're at work with. You know, because we spend so much time at work.
And they're often your social circle, your work, you know, the people that you work with are often your social life as well. So you can, you know, lose that as well. So, yeah, it can be a real challenge moving through life. And I think also looking how relationships change through your lifespan as well, and that, you know, a lot of us have friendships that we may have been very the loss of a friendship. There can be a grieving period over that as well. I even see it with my kids through through school, and I've had it through my adult life that I've had friendships, really close friendships, come and go, and some of them can be quite sad. So it's how are we maintaining relationships that are really important to us, and are you going to take us into the little relationship audit?
Yeah, well, that's something that we probably, you know, we don't do very often, but we probably should.
Yeah.
You know, because we all have relationships that we're happy to invest in, and then other relationships that we kind of just we do the what's required, you know, the maintenance kind of thing, the minimal that's required. So asking yourself, you know, a few questions here in this relationship audit that we're talking about. So well, the first one is, does this relationship energize me or does it drain me? You know?
Energy vampires.
Yes, we've all had those. So and I'm sure there's people listening that have had people in their life that when you're around them, they energize you, they lift you up. You just feel there's something about being in their presence that just brings life into you.
Yeah.
You know, and
Great
then
friendships.
Yeah, and then at the other end of the scale, there's relationships where you come away from an interaction just going, I am spent.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how I can maintain that anymore.
They've like sucked the life out of you.
Yeah. You know. So that's one question to ask, you know, obviously leaning into the relationships that energize you, and
they're on your bus.
Yeah, they're on your bus. Leaning into that and leaning away from the ones that drain you. Do I feel safe being myself in this relationship? That's a big one. Probably more so for intimate partner relationships, I suppose. But I think in the workplace, you really want to be able to be yourself and be listened to and respected,
Yeah. I think if you can't be your true self around, a friend or significant other, it's a bit of a warning sign.
And is there mutual respect in this relationship? That's a big one. Is there mutual respect? Ask yourself that. Can we resolve conflicts constructively? Well, we've just spoken about communication, effective communication. So, you can use some of those tools to help in the ability to resolve conflicts. And do we support each other's growth? That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Whether it be your intimate other or your workplace, do the people around you want to help lift you up,
Encourage your growth as well.
Yeah. And I remember years ago listening to a Sunday morning business show. They have those business shows Sunday morning, and I don't have a life.
I'm at the gym Sunday mornings.
So
not watching business shows.
This was 20 years ago. This was 20 years ago, all right? But it was stuck in my brain that I remember it, right? And the guy was interviewing Elle Macpherson.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right? And saying, how did you go from being this, world-class model to now being a world-class entrepreneur and businesswoman, right? And I will never forget it. She said, I worked on a simple theory that if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
Yeah. Well, what's the saying
surround yourself with, and
Mm.
that's relationship building.
What's the saying? You are the 5 people that you spend
Associate with
the most time with.
Yeah.
And it's that really feeds into the the energy suckers. Or
we will be opening a bumper sticker business at some time soon.
We got so many pearlers.
So 3 categories of relationships: nourishing, obviously, just going back on the relationship audit, over viewing that. There's type of nourishing relationships, the one that you want to keep investing in, you want to do what you can to see it grow. There's neutral type of relationships where you go, well, it could possibly improve with some effort, could go either way. And then, we've all had those relationships where that word toxic, We've all experienced toxic relationships, unfortunately, haven't we?
Yeah, and that's when we need to have some boundaries around how much, time we spend exposing ourselves to those kind of relationships.
So talk to us about love languages, Jodi Allen.
Oh, I love the 5 love languages. Have you done it? Have you done the quiz?
No, I have
Come
not.
on.
I haven't done it.
I think it used to be free. I do believe you may have to pay for it now, but
I kind of get it. So what you're saying is you can get online and do a quiz and it'll tell you which one is yours.
And it gives you a rating of these 5 love languages.
Okay, run us through them.
Okay. One is words of affirmation. So it's basically being validated, verbal appreciation. Like, thank you for that coffee you just made me. That means so much to me. You're amazing. Mm-hmm. So words of affirmation. Another one is quality time. So you really you prioritize having the undivided quality attention of your significant other. Receiving gifts. So a lot of people will think receiving gifts is someone just likes to, be brought expensive presents. And it's not about that. It's about the thoughtfulness of receiving a gift. So someone has actually gone into, thinking about that person and giving them a little gift. So it can be, something really, not expensive. It's not about the cost or the significance or the size of the gift.
It's the thought that counts.
It's the thought that counts, and it can be, someone's priority. Another one is acts of service. This is my number one, helpful actions. So for me, if, say, one of my kids empties the dishwasher, that's an act of service. That's huge for me. And the other one is physical touch. So that can be simple hand holding, a cuddle, an arm around each other. So when we're talking about these love languages, you think of like a pie divided up, and you answer these questions and it will give you a rating and a percentage of how much each of those weighs to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be great to understand what your own love language is.
So this is predominantly a couples thing. This is for couples, isn't it? And as you went through that list,
were you thinking about what?
No, I was thinking about the fact that it's all communication.
Yes, but it's different styles of communication, isn't it?
Yeah.
So words of affirmation is verbal communication.
Yeah.
Quality of time is presence.
Yeah.
Receiving gifts is thoughtfulness.
Mm.
Acts of service is, receiving something helpful.
Mm.
And physical touch is physical connection. So what it does is it identifies your primary love language. So for me, my primary love language is acts of service. So it can be helpful when you're in a relationship, knowing what your significant other's love language is, or even knowing what the love language is in your family unit.
Mm-hmm.
Because my kids know that acts of service are really meaningful to me. That's my number one. If you do something little for me, so my other daughter will say, "Mum, do you want a coffee?" I'd love a coffee, So it's those little things. So when you can identify your own and your partner's love language, you can express it more, and then that other person feels really seen.
And seen, validated. Loved. Yeah.
So, and it's.
I wonder if it'd be interesting to see if a survey's ever done to see which one is the most popular.
Oh, I'm sure there would be. I'd have to look that up. That's a good.
I'm an ideas man.
Yeah.
I reckon, to be honest with you, I think it's going to be the one that is yours. I think acts of service would be
if someone does something for you.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the top one for most people.
Yeah.
Because we all like to receive gifts, who doesn't? But, at the end of the day, it's a gift. Quality time, yes, like we all spend quality, you could argue that sitting in a car for 2 hours driving somewhere is quality time together. Or I don't know.
Having a chat. Yeah.
Words of affirmation, verbal appreciation. That communication. But I think acts of service, because to me, I reckon that would be the most popular one, because it's all about action.
Yeah.
Actions speak louder than words. You can say that you feel this way towards me or whatever, but what are your actions?
But there's no right or wrong or
sure.
And I think if you understand, say, your physical touch is your lowest, rates the lowest, but your partner physical touch is number one, is the most important, then you might go, okay, it's not as meaningful to me as it is to my partner. What can I do to meet their needs a little bit more? Maybe occasionally, is it offering a massage or just a hand on the shoulder or going in for a hug? even if it might not be your priority at the time, it's meeting your partner where they're at and what their needs are and expressing your own. You can kind of meet each other halfway, and man, it can really change the quality of relationships when you work that out. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Big fan?
Big fan.
She's a big fan, ladies and gentlemen.
Big fan.
I'll try and find a link and to put in the show notes for people to try and track down the love language test.
There's a book as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, when relationships go, because we're all about relationships here in this one, so it's not always love and beer and Skittles and massages and words of affirmation, right? So, but once again, the Gottmans have got it covered because they do look at how do you repair.
Yeah, repairing is so important.
Yeah, how do you repair, So after a conflict, it's important to make attempts, make attempts to repair. And it's always, well, I say always, it's wrong. Sometimes it can be the same person that tries to put out the olive branch or whatever, but just trying to meet people, like you said, halfway, is to making small gestures to go, well, we both value this relationship. Well, let's both try and, contribute to the repairing of it.
Yeah. And also recognising what is your partner's, what is their bid to reconnect. So it could be, maybe they're offering to make you a cup of tea, or they want to show you something funny, or, you might not recognise it, but it could be their way of trying to reconnect with you is, I
like that term, bid for connection. It's a bid.
A bid for connection is what we call it. And it's, often we can miss our partners what their bid for connection is. But once we recognise it and learn what their bids are and what they look like, it could be, do you want to go for a walk with me? Do you want to go to the shops with me? Do you want to watch this movie with me, which is what my oldest bid for connection is? Let's watch this show together. That's a bid to connect. So recognising those, I think, is super important.
Yeah. And knowing that sometimes an apology, if you've got to apologise about something,
a real one.
A real apology. There's a whole book. I don't know if you realise this, but there is a whole book. This lady's written this whole book about apologies.
What, on how to apologise?
Everything. Fuck, I tell you. I listened to the audio book of it, and after about 2 hours, I'm like, just say sorry already, but like,
was she dancing around?
No. There's all, she talks about all different, it's actually really good. I'm dismissing it, but it's a pretty powerful book because it makes you realise that the simple act of apologising isn't that cut and dried.
Yeah.
And
it's the meaning behind it as well.
And you think how many times we say sorry in a day where you've got nothing to apologise for.
Yeah. Or if you say, I'm sorry, but.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry you feel like that.
That's the big one that she does talk about. I'm sorry you feel that way is not being sorry at all.
No. Often people will, in their apology, deflect and don't take any accountability. So it's not really an apology.
Yeah. So I'll try and find the link in the show notes to that book, my friends, if you want to spend, a dozen hours listening to
different ways to
apologise. But it's a good book. It's good. You will get something out of it, I guarantee.
Well, I imagine it would be good if.
So I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry if I've ditched it. I'm sorry if it's come across that I've bagged out that book.
No.
And I'm genuinely sorry because it is actually a really good book.
Good. You should be genuinely sorry.
I am genuinely.
And we'll quote one of the apologies in the show notes. repair attempts and recognizing and accepting if your partner is trying to repair as well, or your child.
Yeah.
It's not just couples.
That's right.
It can be friendships as well if someone's trying to make a bid for repair in a friendship.
Well, not only bid for repair, but check-ins. Let's talk about relationship check-ins because they're big.
Yeah.
They're very big. I'm a big fan of this at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, you are good at checking in.
Thanks.
Yeah.
If I know people around me are going through some stuff, I like to keep tabs on them and just let them know that you're not going through it alone.
Yeah.
I'm with you if you need anything.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't know what I could do, but sometimes that just in itself is something.
You just let people know I'm here.
I'm in your corner.
Yep. I got your back.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah. And, the check-in, this came from someone else. I can't remember who this came from, but I liked it, so I adopted it. So the check-in was choose 5 people in your contact list and just send, in your friends list or whoever, whether they don't have to be work colleagues, friends, family members, whoever, just 5 people that you haven't checked in with for a while, and just send them a little quick message to say, I think the one that I said when I did this before Christmas was, hey, haven't spoken to you for a while. Just want you to know how much I appreciate our friendship.
Lovely.
And I hope you're doing okay. And I look forward to it next time we catch up. So just something like that.
Yeah.
Send it to 5 people. And in actual fact, sending that to 5 people sparked, a couple of them just replied going, mate, really appreciate it, love you too, blah, blah.
Yep.
But in actual fact, it sparked 3 meaningful conversations with 3 of those 5 friends were really struggling with stuff that I didn't know about.
Wow.
And two messages came back in actual fact saying, mate, you've got no idea how much what this has meant to me today of all days with all the shit that I've been going through.
That's great.
So you just never know. Relationships, you just got to reach out to people.
That reminds me of a study that I read about last year where they got a group of people to connect with, reach out to someone from your past that it's been long years and reconnect with that person. And then they did all mental health measures questions on both parties. And it was significant how much just reaching out to someone from way back from your past that you haven't connected with in a long time, how it positively impacted the person that reached out and the person that received the message as well. It was, And it was, they were quite surprised how much, it positively impacted them.
Yeah, so, checking into, what are some questions that you would ask if you're checking in, do you reckon?
Well, I like what you reached out to your friends.
See, mine wasn't really a question. Mine was just saying, I just want you to know that I appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends if you're talking to, your significant other. It's, asking questions of, how you're feeling. Is there anything I can do for you? Do you want to have a chat? Is there anything you need from me? Because often, if you're having a chat, like I was saying with my kids, it'll be, do you want me to listen or do you want me to help? What do you need from me? How are you traveling?
Yeah.
I'll notice with my kids, it'll be how I always, every time, as soon as they come, how was your day? What went well today? Did anything go wrong? Did anything stress you out, drive you nuts? And it opens up further, conversation and that as well. So we can, if something starts out like a little small issue, you can have a chat about it before it
becomes a huge issue.
Becomes a huge issue. It's just,
I like that. I like that coming from a angle of, what do you need? Like you said with your kids, do you need me to just sit here and listen? Is that what you need, or do you need me to help you try and nut this out?
Yeah.
Do you need a sounding board?
Yeah, and I guarantee you 90% of the time my kids will say, I just want you to listen, Mum.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, they just want to vent.
Mm.
And that's, often what your partner or your friends. I have one of my best friends of 30 years. I love her so much. And she'll ring me and she'll go, right. And I'll go, okay. And she goes, I've got so much to tell you. And I'll say, you go. She goes, okay, I'll go first. And so she just goes for it. Vent. And then we'll talk about that for a while. And then she'll go, okay, your turn. And then it's my turn. And I'm like, go. So, and we crack up laughing, but it's like, right, let's go.
Let's get amongst it.
Yeah, get amongst it. And that's, sometimes all someone wants you to do is be an ear. And you'll be surprised what comes up.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's where the empathy comes in, because there's a big difference between sympathising. Between sympathy and empathy is a huge difference. And that's our last life skill for this episode, my friend. So we've gone, communication helps us express what we need to express to the people around us, which is, relationships, and gives us that connection. But empathy is the glue. It is the glue that makes it all work, it all come together. And empathy is, like I said, there's a big difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is, someone going, oh, I'm really sorry, that you're going through that, you poor thing, all of that. Whereas empathy is, someone going, well, you know what, mate, if I was going through all of that shit, I'd be struggling as well, trying to validate their feelings and trying to put yourself in their shoes.
That's what empathy is.
It's not the same as agreement, and it's about trying to understand where they're at.
Yeah, from their perspective.
Without judgment.
No, exactly. And that's, we love, on our program we share Brené Brown's
what a great
empathy.
Video.
Yeah, it's
such a great video.
It's gold. And it doesn't matter how many times I watch it, I still stick around to watch it again because it's got some pearlers in it. But, she talks about what the qualities of empathy are, and just as we were talking before, perspective taking, seeing from their point of view, sitting alongside them and seeing, what their viewpoint is, where it is for them, without judgment, and recognizing emotion in others. So recognizing that, again, without judgment, where their emotion and why perhaps they're behaving the way that they are, instead of just shutting that down and saying,
it's communication, isn't it? Being aware of, not only their verbal communication, but their what are they communicating to you physically as well? Yeah.
And things like, it could be, don't cry, it's going to be okay. And it's, that's not really sitting and being and empathizing with someone like, this is really shit. And I'm sitting here alongside you. That's empathy. And what that does is it really builds connection and it strengthens relationships when you show true empathy. And there are people that struggle with empathy. It doesn't come easily to them because, often it can be going quickly into judgment. Or quickly into, I can fix it, or I'm going to try and make you feel better.
Yeah.
Whereas empathy is, I'm sitting here alongside you, and again, one of those questions is, what do you need from me? And often a person, when you're sitting alongside them in despair will be, I just need you to be here.
Yeah, and that's, that's a big thing in the, in the field of suicide prevention. A friend of mine, in terms of, has the term being able to sit with people amongst their mess.
Yeah,
sometimes,
that's a good saying. Yeah.
Sometimes it's important to just sit with people. I just need you to sit with me while I just sit in my mess at the moment.
Yeah.
Hold my hand, be here for me. I just need someone to just be.
Yeah.
And not try and fix it, not try and, say, like you said, suck it up, move on, this, that, or the next thing.
Things like, I feel so sorry for you. At least you have this. It could be worse. Is one of the top ones. It could be worse, or there's so many people worse off than you, or some people will say it about themselves. Oh, there's people a lot worse off than me right now. Well, there'll always be someone worse off than all of us. But we still need to validate our very real experience, that how we're feeling about something. And empathy is, I'm here with you.
Yeah.
And other helpful things are to say, that sounds really hard. I can see why you'd feel like that. I can
That's the big one.
Yeah.
If I was going through all that shit, I'd be going sideways as well. Because it justifies them feeling in the depths of despair.
Yeah.
I remember when I was going out doing a lot of rural stuff, you're talking to farmers and all this sort of stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's heartbreaking, the shit that they go through, And, with drought, and if it's not drought, it's floods, or it's, losing crops or whatever. And you go, mate, I don't know how you do it. I really feel for you while you're going through that stuff, because it must be so hard to navigate.
Yeah.
And just, sometimes it's about validating where they're at and saying, you know what, you have every right to feel the way that you feel right now.
Yeah. And really important to not minimise. And like we've said a few times now, resist the urge to fix.
Yeah.
To fix and solve and go in, which we can often do because we think we're being helpful, but it's not always the case, unless someone's directly, if you're using that question, what do you need from me? I'd like you to, be here with me for a couple of days or something, then you can act on that.
Yeah. Well, that's the perspective taking, pause, taking a pause on your own perspective, and then asking yourself in relation to the person that you're with, what might they be feeling right now while they're going through all of that, or what might they be thinking? Because feeling one thing, thinking something is something different, and what experiences might have shaped the position that they're in. What's the background that's brought them to the place that they're at now, and what are their needs? What are they needs? And that's one of the things that I really love about my friend and colleague Jacinta Hallgood, who I had on the podcast a couple of weeks ago from the uni. She co-designed the STARS protocol, which is systematic, tailored assessment for responding to suicidality.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And it's a needs-based assessment of a person who's in a suicidal crisis.
Yeah,
where you sit with them and go, what is it that you need right now to help you get through this?
Yeah.
So it's, and because that's a big one, what needs might they have at this very moment to help get through? And after you think those things, thinking to yourself, what might they be feeling and what might they be needing right now. Verbalize it. We've just spoken about communication in this episode. Verbalize. It sounds like you're feeling this, that, or the other. I imagine this is difficult for you because of these sets of circumstances, or if you're find yourself in a place where you're struggling to actually get a grasp on what it is, just say, look, help me to understand. Help me to understand things from your perspective.
Yeah.
How many times do we want in your lifetime would it have been nice for someone to say that to you?
Yeah. Or, tell me more about that, because people will often, I'm talking too much about myself. I'll stop. But tell me more.
So talk to us about tell me more, Jodi Allard, about the phases, that can we can have when it comes to empathy.
Do you mean these phrases that we've empathy?
The phrases.
Phrases.
What did I say?
Yeah, phases.
Oh, I do apologise. I did mean phrases.
Well, we've pretty much covered them already.
Well, that's right.
That empathising with them. So we've pretty much covered that. But I think we can move on to the, definitely opening up the conversation about stigma.
Well, that's having empathy for yourself. When we talk about stigma in mental health, we talk, a lot of people talk about societal stigma, or organisational stigma towards a certain cohort. But one of the most powerful types of stigma is the one that we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
That's self-judgment.
Yeah, self-criticism.
Yeah, self-criticism, because the two biggest dangers to come out of self-criticism and self-judgment is it reduces the likelihood of help seeking.
Yes.
Because you're putting shame on yourself.
Yeah.
And the byproduct of that is it impedes your recovery.
Yeah. Prolongs it, doesn't it?
That's right. Prolongs suffering and impedes your recovery.
Yeah.
So having that empathy for yourself, saying to yourself, when you're going through some shit, just acknowledging that this is really hard for me right now.
Yeah.
And if I need to sit with it, I need to sit with it. It makes sense that I feel this way given all of the shit that I'm going through, because it's just life is messy, and
you're often having a natural human reaction, response to something.
That's right.
And having that self-compassion, it can be really hard to help.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the inner critic can be so loud.
Yeah.
It can be really hard to practice self-compassion.
Yeah. But having the, and this is where we, like I said, they all, and I'm harping on about it, but about life skills all interacting with each other.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Having that self-awareness that when you're in that, shitstorm, for want of a better term, saying to yourself, what is it I need right now?
Yeah.
If you haven't got someone there saying to you, what do you need? Asking yourself, what is it I need right now? Do I need the company of someone else? Do I need to go outside and get some sunshine? Do I need to get out my journal? Do I need to start writing this shit out to try and get all the thoughts and stuff out of my head?
Yeah.
Do I need to go to the beach? Do I need nature? Do I need to put my feet in the ocean? What is it I need right now that's going to help me get through this?
Yeah. And it's amazing when you meet that need, how good it feels. And it's a nervous system reset. Often when it involves nature.
Yeah.
It's nature pill. It's
absolutely.
Great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, empathy. It all ties into each other. Effective communication as the vehicle allows us to express empathy because we're communicating effectively, and which is good for our relationships, builds relationships, and our relationships require good communication. So, empathy is the fuel that brings it all together. It's all pretty cool the way it all ties in beautifully together, you know. So the complete connection process is something pretty special.
Yeah.
Building connection.
Yep. Communicating effectively. Remember, we're using those I statements.
That's right.
We're active listening. We're putting our phone down. We're being assertive, not passive or aggressive.
That's right, yeah.
We're building our relationships, so we're investing in those relationships that nourish us.
That fill our cup.
Who's on our bus?
Who's on our bus?
We're speaking each other's love languages.
The love languages, yes.
Acts of service is mine. We're making repair attempts after conflict, and we're acknowledging repair attempts from our other people in our orbit. Regular check-ins.
Yeah.
How you going?
Yeah.
What do you need from me?
That's a challenge, peeps. Do that. That's a call to action in this podcast. Is five people,
peeps,
5 peeps in your contact list.
I'm gonna go and do it.
You know,
when I get home,
and just something along the lines of haven't spoken to you in a while. Appreciate you. So glad you're in my life. Look forward to seeing you next time. Or hope you're doing well or something.
It'll mean so much to the person receiving
it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
And we're practicing empathy. We've banged on about empathy, you know, looking at others' perspectives, sitting alongside them, validating their feelings, being present without trying to fix and solve, and practicing self-empathy, self-compassion towards ourselves.
Yeah, it's cool. This has been a great episode. I know, you know, we may have gone off topic a few times in this one, but you know
that was all you.
Well, it was all me, right? Which is really weird because it's all about communicating, and I'm just babbling on about everything.
I'm always on topic.
You know, I wouldn't go that far. Communication, relationships, and empathy. It's the heart blood of everything. You know, everything we talk about in suicide prevention is communicate and connecting with people. You know, I can't stress how important it is enough to have social connection. And if anybody's interested, there are a couple of podcast episodes last season. There's one all about social connection and one about, you know, how to make a community, how to build community, you know, and what the different types of community look like. You know, a mate of mine runs trivia. He's got a really successful trivia business, and he has people that have been coming to these trivia nights for years, every week.
Oh, wow.
And it's the only time they leave the house, and it brings them all out together.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, and that's their community.
Yeah, find
you know?
your tribe.
That's the tribe, you know. They've had engagements, they've had births, they've had deaths, and it's all been celebrated as a tribe.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, put yourself out there.
Put yourself out there. So there you go, my friends. This is we're going to wind this up. We're going to bring this bad boy home because next week's episode is the final installment of the Life Skills Masterclass here with Mark McConville and Jodi Allen. And so the last one brings it all together. So the 3 life skills that we're going to talk about next episode will be managing your emotions, which we've touched on throughout these 3 episodes. So managing your emotions as a standalone life skill. We're also introducing mindfulness and lifestyle medicine, which I think is really cool.
Love it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic episode to finish on to bring it all together. And I really appreciate everything that you've brought to the table here, and especially I can't wait to hear, you know, we dive into some lifestyle medicine stuff because that is real, you know, prevention, early intervention.
Yeah.
That's where I love the early intervention stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, keeping the population healthy to start with.
Yeah, love it.
So there you go. Any final thoughts, Jodi Allen, before we wrap this up?
Oh no, I've had a great time, and I'm looking forward to our last wrap up. And yeah, it's been a great journey.
Awesome. There you go, folks. So hopefully wherever you are listening, you've got something out of this episode, and we really appreciate your time because I know time is your most valuable asset. So I really appreciate your time in tuning in. If something that you've heard strikes a chord with you, please share this episode with friends, family, whoever it is, and follow us and leave a comment, and that helps the algorithm basically get to the people that need it. So as always, my friends, wherever you are listening, be kind to yourself and be kind to those around you. We'll chat to you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening. The information contained in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended, nor should it ever replace advice received from a physician or mental health professional. Want more info? Visit thelaughterclinic.com.au. If you enjoyed the episode, please share and subscribe. Thanks again for listening to the Laughter Clinic podcast with your host, Mark McConville.